Imagine a world where the minds of our youth, the future leaders and innovators, are facing a hidden crisis, the decline of their mental health. That is all due to the COVID-19 pandemic and its effects on our society and our social health. You should listen to the speech because the COVID-19 pandemic affected the well-being of our younger generation and thus affected their mental health. By addressing this issue, you will be informed on the pressing societal issue as a result and advocate for the effects of this topic. Today, I'll be talking about how isolation and social distancing during the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the mental health in children and adolescents. First, I'll be explaining the pandemic, the daily life during the pandemic, and its changes in society at that time. Then I'll be talking about the effects on mental health in teens and children during that time. There were many societal changes from the COVID-19 pandemic. We weren't able to do things that we normally would be able to. We weren't able to socialize with other kids, other people. A lot of things were shut down at that time. Schools, parks, gyms, anything that had to do with being in 1 feet of each other, it was all shut down because of a disease that really impacted our country and our world. Daily life during the pandemic was hard. We weren't able to go to school because it was all shut down. We had to learn at home, even though in the beginning we were able to have our free time, but it soon became very bad because it affected a lot of our families, a lot of our elderly and all that. So during the pandemic, there was isolation and loneliness during the lockdown. We were locked down from a lot of things for at least a couple years, and it really took a toll on our mental health, our social health, and our ability to live normally. So according to the World Health Organization in the 2020 article, 81% of adolescents aged 11 through 17 worldwide did not engage in enough physical activity, as shown in this next slide. There was a lack of physical activity in our adolescence. Gyms were shut down, parks were shut down, and we really weren't able to socialize and get our normal exercise, do things. We were locked down in our house. In that same article, it says that 1 in 7 adolescents aged 10 through 19 have experienced mental health problems as a result. That means if you were in a small classroom comprised of 21 students, 3 students would have already suffered the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of the pandemic, there were many changes in our mental health and our social health as a result. There's an increase in anxiety and depression in children and adolescents, and a decrease in overall psychological and emotional well-being. There was a large increase in depression and anxiety as a result from the lockdown. We weren't able to socialize for a year, so we got so used to being in our homes, being locked away from the normal things that we were able to do, and we weren't able to go to school, and we weren't able to learn normally. We had to go through a screen and Zoom and learn that way. And in this, it shows the percent of children and adolescents with depression, anxiety, and ADD/ADHD after the COVID-19 pandemic. As you can see, about 13% of adolescents already had anxiety post-COVID. And this is from a report from the Kaiser Family Foundation of a January 2021 report. There are also a decrease in overall psychological and emotional well-being. Through a systematic report of published studies on PubMed from January 2020 and July 2021, data suggests that the findings of 5 studies on children and 16 studies on college students found that both groups reported feeling more anxious, depressed, and fatigued than prior to the pandemic. That means that the lockdown really took a toll on a lot of us, not only students, but adults and elderly, because we weren't able to see our family and go to different occasions and different events. We weren't able to socialize like we once were. In this, it shows the share of parents reporting the worsening of mental health for their children ages 5 through 12 from a report from the Kaiser Family Foundation, an independent source of health policy. This is from October through November of 2020. You can see that there was a 22.1% increase in the overall worsening of mental or emotional health. This also had a 4% increase in elevated symptoms of depression. According to a 2020 study conducted by Yale Institute for Global Health, the unexpected and forced transition into isolation and in-home learning had a sense of distress and isolation, causing an increase in the negative and psychological outcomes. To recap, we explained the pandemic and its changes on society and the impacts on mental health in teens. In conclusion, this speech was to inform you on the decline of mental health in students and teens as a direct result from the pandemic. It is crucial to prioritize mental health support and provide resources to help teens recover and thrive after the pandemic, after the fact. Thank you.